I first came to this church back in the early 90s. That's last century. Does that make my thinking more credible or less? Maybe I've just got too many sunk cost biases. I've been cherry picking my reasons for staying in the community. Am I in a rut, or have I found my groove? Over the years, I've had fewer regrets when my pledge decisions begin with questions such as, am I being challenged? Is my family growing in service to others? I invest in this community because I am fragile and the faith is resilient. In the mid-90s, while raising young children as an overwhelmed divorcee, I was approached to organize Nurture Sunday. I didn't respond well. I lost my temper, and I remember whining about when were the nurturers going to be nurtured, and why were we responsible for our own Nurture Sunday. I had yet to learn from Bill Haney the wonderful lessons of family systems thinking. It's basically the notion that we bring our family of origin with us to every committee meeting. Basically, I was channeling my mother on Mother's Day. I admit that I've been tempted to channel my mother again as I've made pledge decisions. Regarding, intended to use the consumerist transactional lens when making those decisions. But I'm so glad that most of my pledge decisions were made from the perspective of reducing regret. I've been at this long enough now to trust my regret compass better than my consumerist compass. I invest in this community because I am one fragile and finite thread in the fabric of humanity. And this particular faith, though its size may imply that it's on the fringes of humanity, of humanity's tapestry, it has historically functioned as one of the most crucial strands. It functions in that way in my individual life, and it has functioned that way in the history of the American family. What better place do you have to invest for preventing regret? When I find myself slipping into the worst thinking of my family of origin, I'm deeply grateful for the contents of our great hymnal. Many times, the wisdom that's condensed there has pulled me back from wanting to pull my investment out, actually. This wisdom of people who have looked into chasms of despair far deeper than any I have encountered and continue to choose love. This wisdom has pulled me back pulled my straying strand back into our beloved fabric. As you probably should know, I have floaters, and so when I look up and I look down, I'm having to navigate this garbage in my eyesight. So. Never underestimate the impact that you have on others that you're in community with. Your family of origin may not have the best perspective to point out your wake to you that ripples the effect that you have. Even at your funeral, their eulogies will mostly be about them. And you'll miss that anyway. But our chosen families can remind us that we do have a wake in the present. Sometimes you're lucky enough to see that wake come around back to you. In fact, here in our community, you don't even have to rely on luck. Charlie Atkins had his memorial scheduled while he was still alive. I think we should all get awake while we're still lucid. Charlie, another benefit of Charlie was he made a comment in a newsletter editorial, I think it was, about a regret he had. He wished he hadn't waited so long to take down the firewall between his business and his political and social change activities. Charlie gave me the courage to stop pretending I was neutral about social and political issues in my businesses. As you use, sometimes it feels like we're playing at religious community as we experiment with multiple forms of worship and ministry. And that is actually one of our strengths. I have a vivid memory of a particular lay-led service a few years back. I believe it was during Sue Spencer's tenure as our interim minister. As we arrived for worship, the men were directed to sit in an area separated by a veil, a sort of reverse mosque or Orthodox temple. I was embarrassed at how uncomfortable most of us men were, having our privilege demoted, even symbolically, for less than an hour. There are members of our community that's still trying to get over that trauma. We missed some wonderful readings and rituals that we got to observe through the screen, fully distracted in our fuming. As a faith tradition, and that was, by the way. As a faith tradition, we are continually asking the question, what is the sacred? What is a sacrament? What is salvation? Yeah. Some outsiders think that this perennial exploration is a sign of instability. But we know better. We know that our open-heartedness, our open-mindedness, is the very source of our resilience and our hope for this beloved community. We are resilient because we don't assume tradition and received wisdom is sufficient. We know each new generation grows in the struggle. I'm going to end with one of the readings that has perennially pulled me back to my senses. This is number 463 in your great hymnal. You don't have to read along if you don't want to. My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who age after age, perversely, with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Adrian Rich. Thank you.